For me, liberation always meant has always meant dignity, like, and not just for me, but for all my people, for everyone. And um, really breaking it down to, like, what are the components of dignity and a dignified life, right? And that includes some of the things that we're talking about: the ability to dream, the ability to have joy, the ability to rest, the ability to heal, the ability to be in communion with, to be connected. I think one of the things for me, being someone that has gone through trauma, was just uh, seeing how disconnected I am from the world around me as a result of trauma, like not being able to experience the world in ways that I want to experience it because I can't be present in my body at any point, sometimes. So for me, liberation starts with that, right? That I feel, first of all, starts feeling safe enough to be in my body, and I can breathe, and I can see, I can feel the grass. It's those simple things, right? But then it's that it's a dignified life, and it's that it's a dignified life not just for me but for everyone around me. And yeah, and definitely joy. Like I really think sometimes we forget how to have joy and how to be, and the space to liberation for me is also just the space to allow everyone to be, because I feel like we really control people's ability to just become who they are because of some of the biases we have. So I think when I think about liberation is also, how am I coming in the way of someone being? How am I not making room for another person not being who they're supposed to be? Because that we do that a lot without understanding. And then just creating space for all of us to just love each other. And I know some of these are like things like love, joy, always sound like big, complex ideas. So for me, when I actually think about love, joy, all those things, what I like to do is to break it down to what will it feel like, what will it taste like. And so I truly want, even when we are working on collective threads, to really understand, like, what does liberation feel like for someone? What does it taste like? What does it look like? And really be able to move towards that. Yeah.
I don't know how to follow that.
Okay. I'm sure you're going to top that.
No. There's no topping. There's just murmuration.
Admiration.
I think when I think about liberation, this is it's expansive and it's also very specific. And I think the specific part is that I start with children. And liberation for me is when every child can come into this world and be a child, have their needs met, be loved, be cared for, be playful, dream, and know that they are going to grow up in time into an adult whose body is a site of safety and of wellness and of agency and of self-actualization, to where they can feel safe in their bodies without fear of violence, right? To where your body can be a source of joy and not a constant collection of trauma responses, right?
Yes.
I feel like we spend so much time like learning to get in touch with our bodies to recognize the trauma. And for me, liberation is when we get in touch with our bodies to recognize the signs of enthusiasm and presence and joy and connection, where our bodies, we listen to our bodies not to look for fear,
Yes.
but to look for the ways we feel when there's bird calls in the
Yes.
distance and the sun is on your face and there's a nice breeze, and to notice the way you feel when you're around people that you notice make you feel really warm inside. Like when you're able to live in that kind of presence, that's liberation, and that kind of presence requires a lot of social and political structures, right? Community
Yeah.
structures and infrastructure, but that the infrastructure is not the liberation.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sense of being able to become who you want to become, who you could become, to bring into the world your gifts without barriers, without being limited or restricted by other people's faulty imaginations. That's where the liberation is, which then makes us start to question and think, what does that require?
Yeah.
What do communities look like where that kind of liberation is possible? What does governance look like that allows for that kind of liberation? What does a cultural context or cultural concepts of wellness, right? You know, different cultures define wellness differently. But if we really think about wellness as being having liberation, feeling the liberation in your body every day and moving through the world from that as your center, that should be the starting point, and then we can envision what that means, like what kind of relationships, because you can't feel that in isolation.
Yeah.
You can really only feel that in community.